Eighth episode opens with a brief moment of optimism for Dwight Manfredi and his crew as the distillery finally reopens under the quiet protection of Attorney General Sackrider. But the calm doesn't last long. Jeremiah Dunmire walks out of jail after assaulting Sackrider, and the rift between him and his son Cole becomes more visible. Their tension is interrupted when Deacon arrives at the Dunmire estate. Without hesitation, he admits he was hired by Dwight to kill Jeremiah, but insists he rejected the job because Dwight seemed untrustworthy and must have hidden motives. Jeremiah immediately sees opportunity in Deacon's bitterness, inviting him inside while dismissing Cole. Dwight's attention shifts when he calls Margaret, who is busy preparing for a major campaign event for Carl Thresher. Margaret hints that Thresher's political future might be bigger than expected, and that Dwight might not need him once things fall into place. Meanwhile, Deacon is shown scouting Thresher's rally, planting a bomb with alarming ease. At the distillery, the crew celebrates the reopening, while Dwight receives a call from Deacon demanding a meeting. Dwight then contacts Agent Musso and proposes arranging the meet himself. Musso reluctantly agrees. At Bodie's dispensary, Tyson and Spencer ask to host a party using stolen drugs. Bodie only accepts after negotiating a cut, unaware of the danger approaching elsewhere that night. Dwight meets Musso in person and confronts him about the disappearance of Bill Bevilacqua. By process of elimination, Dwight concludes Musso secretly took Bill to keep him from interfering in the Deacon operation. Musso refuses to deny it. Their focus shifts back to the mission, and they head to a remote building for the planned meet with Deacon. Musso insists Dwight wear a wire to secure the case. Dwight takes it, but purposely drops it once inside. Deacon greets him at gunpoint, complaining that Dwight's obvious dislike for him made their earlier deal impossible. Before he can act, Mitch and Bigfoot emerge from the shadows, disarming him. They abduct Deacon before Musso realizes the audio has gone silent. When Musso and the federal team rush inside, they find the building empty. Furious, Musso understands he has been outmaneuvered. Dwight and his men transport Deacon to the catacombs, demanding every detail about his past clients and terrorist network. Deacon fears the consequences, but Dwight presses harder, determined to extract everything before deciding his fate. At the Dunmire home, Cole questions Jeremiah about the mysterious visitor. Jeremiah claims Dwight planned to bomb their house and insists that destiny redirected their retaliation. Cole doesn't fully believe him, sensing something much darker. The rally begins at the Delmore Grand Hotel. Margaret and Thresher work through guests, while Sackrider appears with his wife, strengthening the public alliance. Thresher quietly warns Margaret that if anything goes wrong, both she and Dwight will be targets alongside him. Meanwhile, Cole rushes to Spencer at the distillery party, warning her that Jeremiah plans to strike at a location full of people connected to Dwight. Realizing the target must be the rally, she alerts Tyson, who calls Dwight. Deacon confirms the bomb's location and timing. Dwight, after hearing the confession, buries Deacon alive in an old Montague family coffin and drives toward the hotel. At the Delmore Grand, the bomb's phones begin ringing as the clock passes 10 p.m. Police arrive, but their evacuation is slow. Dwight forces his way into the building and begins shouting for everyone to clear out. Musso joins him, escorting Thresher outside. Dwight finds Margaret and pulls her out with minutes to spare. Mitch checks the floors to ensure no one remains. Seconds after the final guests flee, the bomb detonates. The explosion blows Mitch across the concrete, and the hotel erupts in flames. Margaret survives, shaken, as Dwight shields her on the ground. At the Dunmire estate, Jeremiah smokes calmly by the fire, already assuming the attack succeeded. Cole listens quietly, disturbed by his father's satisfaction. Outside the ruined hotel, Dwight watches as Mitch is loaded into an ambulance. Musso approaches him, furious that Dwight broke the deal to surrender Deacon. When Musso demands to know where Deacon is, Dwight simply replies, "Out of sight, out of mind." Musso warns that Dwight owes him the information, and Dwight answers only, "Maybe tomorrow." Margaret observes the exchange from a distance, realizing there are secrets she has not been told. Ninth episode begins as we are introduced to Russell Lee Washington Jr. in Newark, New Jersey. He is an aging hitman leading a quiet routine under the disguise of an electrician. After completing a contract killing, he returns to his shop, only to be interrupted by Vince, who summons him to meet Quiet Ray. Russell reluctantly visits Ray, where it becomes clear he has been paying off an old debt by carrying out a series of assassinations. Believing his latest job had finally cleared what he owed, Russell expects freedom. Instead, Ray assigns him one final target, Dwight Manfredi in Tulsa. Russell and Dwight share a history from their years in prison, making Russell hesitate, but Ray gives him no room to refuse. In Tulsa, Dwight meets with Agent Musso, who demands Deacon's return. Dwight refuses and confirms the man buried in the Montague crypt is dead. Instead of turning Deacon over, Dwight uses the taped confession to pressure Musso for a federal liquor license. Soon after, Montague Distilleries expands rapidly across Tulsa, while Dunmire Distilleries faces a sudden collapse. Their distributors return inventory and cancel orders. Cole delivers the bad news to Jeremiah, who reacts with explosive frustration as every attempt to hurt Dwight has failed. Russell arrives in Tulsa and watches Dwight from a distance before approaching him. Their reunion is cautious but familiar. Dwight quickly realizes Russell is working for Ray and asks if he has come to kill him. Russell admits the truth and explains he has not yet decided whether to complete the job. After leaving the bar, Russell refuses Dwight's dinner invitation and warns him that Ray has not given up. Meanwhile, Tyson hands over a large profit to Dwight from a rave he and Spencer organized. He avoids detailing how they earned the money, though Dwight suspects the truth. Later, Tyson pushes Bodie to secure a supplier for ecstasy, hoping to continue the operation. Bodie reluctantly agrees but warns that none of the deals can happen on Dwight's property. Tyson and Spencer attempt to sell at another rave but are caught and kicked out, signaling growing risk. Russell returns to his hotel, where Ray calls for an update. Russell openly tells him he will not do the job. Ray threatens him, but Russell ends the conversation. At the saloon, Dwight hears from Mitch that an unfamiliar hitman from New York has checked into a local hotel. Before Dwight investigates, Margaret meets him to update him on Thresher's cooperation with the police after the bombing. Later that night, Russell arrives at Dwight's home. They speak candidly about Russell's attempts to carry out Ray's order and his inability to go through with it. Dwight also reveals what he learned from Mitch. Ray has sent another contract killer, one meant to ensure Russell's death, regardless of whether he kills Dwight. Understanding Ray intends to clean the house entirely, Russell decides to side with Dwight. Together, Dwight and Russell drive to the hotel where the New York hitman is staying. They watch two men exit separate rooms, realizing Ray sent a pair rather than a lone assassin. Without hesitation, Dwight enters one room while Russell enters the other. Both men eliminate the threats quickly and leave before Vince arrives and discovers Ray's backup plan has failed. The episode ends with the calm abruptly broken. As Joanne leaves work, she is abducted by Jeremiah's men. With Dunmire Distilleries falling apart and every plan against Dwight failing, Jeremiah turns to a final act of retaliation.